I've come to the line dancing at Mauchline Community Centre because I want to ask these women about that other side of Burns, the Reiki side, the side of the serial charmer. When people say that Robbie Burns was obsessed with sex, that his main preoccupation was the lassies, do you think that's true?
Yes!
Why do you say that?
There's another name for that, but I won't say it.
There is another name. But this is a family programme.
Exactly.
As a piece of male behaviour, does that surprise you?
No, but you take it, if you lived in this day and age, you would be highly delighted.
Who would be delighted, him or you?
Maybe both, you know.
In Mauchline there dwells 6 proper young belles, the pride of the place and its neighbourhood all. Their carriage and dress a stranger would guess, in London or Paris they'd gotten it all. Miss Miller is fine, Miss Murtlin's divine, Miss Smith she is wit, Miss Betty is braw. There's duty and fortune to get by Miss Morton, but armour's a jewel for me o' them all.
Say together, say shuffle, roll forward, back, say shuffle.
In Mauchline there dwell 6 proper young belles, the pride of the place.
Of all the women that Robert Burns knew, there was only really one that conquered his affections. Her name was Jean Armour. She lived here in the Cowgate. He set many traps to catch her, and he did catch her. But as he said in his famous poem, the best laid schemes of mice and men gang after gley. That's to say, they can lead to trouble. For a brief moment in 1785, Jean Armour alone seems to have been the tenant of Robert Burns's heart. So much so that within a year, Jean was pregnant. In small-town Mauchline, it was only so long that he and Jean could keep it to themselves. The Holy Beagles, as Burns called them, soon got the scent of a full-blown scandal. Back in the church, a remarkable document survives from the 18th century. It reveals just how the church authorities tried to deal with it. The writing's difficult, but we hear Robert Burns and Jean Armour appeared before the congregation professing their repentance. Given Burns's poems on the question of hypocrisy in the church, we wonder how utterly sincere that repentance was. For fornication, and having each appeared 2 several Sabbaths, were this day rebuked and absolved from the scandal. Absolved from the scandal is good. I mean, I wonder if you ever truly were absolved from such a scandal in a small town like Mauchline. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Jean Armour's parents wanted nothing to do with the notorious local poet, and they stopped Jean from seeing him.
I have tried often to forget her. I have run into all kinds of dissipation and riots, Mason meetings, drinking matches and other mischief to drive her out of my head, but all in vain.
By all accounts heartbroken, with at least 3 illegitimate children and on the verge of ruin, Robert Burns came up with a plan that would fix everything.
It was in sweet Senegal that my fostered me.
Robert Burns decided to emigrate to Jamaica, where he planned to find work on a plantation. He said, as a poor Negro driver.
July 30th, 1786. My hour is now come. You and I will never meet in Britain more. I have orders within 3 weeks at furthest to repair aboard the Nancy.
Of course, Burns was the great laureate of human freedom, and therefore the Jamaica plan stands as a puzzle. It's hard to understand how the man who wrote A Man's a Man for All That and The Slave's Lament could even contemplate leaving and crossing the sea from here to become a slave driver. It really is a conundrum. It's the one thing about Burns, of all the elements, that could cause us to worry about his integrity. To me, it's the action of a desperate man. A man who's made a mess of his life, but who can't afford to be as principled as I would like him to be. To put his affairs in order and to make any money that he possibly could, Burns decided to get his poems published. Any poems that might have got him into hot water with church or state were prudently set aside for another day. But all the poems of Burns's great creative period were set in gid black print and bound together, soon to be hailed as a masterpiece.
You will have heard that I am going to commence Poet in print, and tomorrow my works go to the press. I expect it will be a volume of about 200 pages. It is just the last foolish action I intend to do, and then turn a wise man as fast as possible.
Here at the Irvine Burns Club, they have a rare copy of that very thing that Robert Burns put together in such desperate circumstances.
And this is the book I believe you're interested to view. It's the first edition, Kilmarnock.
Wow.
Robert Burns.
Amazing, thanks very much. Extremely rare, slightly holy book, this. Wow. There's nothing like the smell of time. Robert Burns was so sociable, he could have, I suppose, just gabbed away his poems in the pub, but that's not what he did. He created this book, the Kilmarnock edition, an absolute work of genius, unlike anything published in his day, and still, even now, there's nothing like it. A book is, after all, a little intellectual and moral machine, and Burns made his contribution. What a contribution. I can't believe I'm actually holding a first edition of that masterpiece. Opened here at the page with the very first poem, the Twa Dugs. 'Twas in that place of Scotland Isle that bears the name of Auld King Coyle, upon a bonny day in June when, wearing through the afternoon, twa dugs that werena frang from hame, forgathered ance upon a time. Scottish literature had never heard that voice before that. It was the opening of an absolutely spectacular career. The book, Poems Chiefly in the Scottish Dialect, was a runaway success. It sold out within a few months and made Burns a £20 profit. And now Burns shelved his plans for escape to Jamaica and began to contemplate a whole new future. Could a bigger audience exist for these poems? Could a bigger print run make him rich? And could Robert Burns finally make a success of his life? To find out, he'd have to leave behind his childhood landscape, the inspiring world of Ayrshire, and try his luck in Scotland's capital, Edinburgh. Ayrshire to Burns had been the whole world. He knew its byways and its characters extremely well. But the rest of the world, the rest of Scotland even, was a bit of a mystery to him. Edinburgh seemed like an exotic Babylon when he set out to reach there. But he suspected that if he got to know it, and if he succeeded there, it might change his world forever.
At Edinburgh, I was in a new world and mingled among many classes of men, but all of them new to me, and I was all attention to catch the characters and manners living as they rise.
I'm coming to the place that in Burns's day was called the Athens of the North, to search for the story of Burns's success here, but also perhaps to find the seeds of a struggle for survival that exists at the centre of Burns's life.